Welcome, friends. Welcome to Kiss Up Cards. Keep it simple, stamping up. And I'm coming to you on Friday nights now for the next couple of months. I'm Marianne, and I'm a independent Stampin' Up consultant. And I am bringing to you card designs, tips, ideas, supplies, what you should get, what you don't need to get. Let's spend our money wisely and on the things that will help us, and using things that we have around our house, using up what we have. Tonight I'm excited to bring to you Fun Fold Fridays. I was at work today and all I could think about was getting home and talking about Fun Fold Fridays. And I'm going to come to you over the next couple of months, give or take a week, and just bring to you different fun fold ideas, but that are simple and easy to do, and you can make multiple cards using these fun folds. There are some fun folds out there that are pretty intricate, but then there are some fun folds that you look at and think, how am I going to do that? And then I show you how to do it and you're like, oh, that's really easy. So I hope you try some of these fun folds. It's just another way to make up cards and send them out. And recently, you might think, is it really worth it sending cards? And I'll tell you, here's what I heard this past week. I gave a card to someone and it was a sympathy card. Unfortunately, those are a lot of cards that I give lately. And this person responded back and said, thank you very much for the nice card. And it means so much that it was handmade. So it is, oh my gosh, like to just hear that it meant something to someone is incredible. And so I encourage you, let's make cards. And my mantra is share kindness, one card at a time. And it is just, it's a beautiful way to give. And it's a great way to create. I love coming into my craft room, and that is, I gave you a tour a couple of videos ago, so you can go watch that. But I love coming into my craft room and just sitting down and just creating cards, and it's so peaceful, and it's, at the end, I have created something, and that is really just satisfying for me. So let's go to my craft table and let's start fun folding. All right, we are at my craft table and I've picked two colors to show you how to cut. Now, this is a take two on the cutting because the video that I had made of the cutting of the cards and the cardstock, or of the designer paper and the cardstock, is gone. It just is not around anymore. So I'm going to show you how to cut it, and I'm going to use these two colors, and I'm going to use this ice cream paper that has sprinkles on the other side of the page. So this is going to make cute kids' birthday cards. So for me, I always like to have my paper here, and I always write my directions on this paper. That way I can just at a glance look at it. So I'm going to, my cardstock is 8.5. So the 8.5 is this way, and I'm gonna cut it at 5.5. Now, usually when I make cards, we score first and then cut. We're not gonna do that this time. We're gonna cut first, and you'll see why when we start scoring. So there we have those two pieces, and then cut this at 5.5. Those are very, very vibrant colors. Now with each cardstock, we're going to score it twice. We usually only score a card once, but we're going to score it twice. And this be called an easy fold card or a side gate fold card, or just a fun fold card. All right, so we're going to score at 3 inches. So I'm going to measure at 3 inches, make sure my blade is out of the way, and score at 3 inches. And then I'm going to score at 7 1/4. Now, you can score at 7 1/4 like this, or you can measure 1.5 inches on this side, however you want to do that. So let's do that with all the cards. So 3 inches, we're just going to score them. 3 inches, and then 7 1/4. If you're feeling very confident, you can put this arm away, and you can do 3 inches. Oops, I think my blank, no, is it scoring? Oh, it's not in all the way. There we go, just click it in. Okay, so 3 inches, and then I can measure from the cutting guide to over here, 1 1/2. So I did doing that on all the cards. 3 inches. And 1 1/2. Oh my gosh. There's our cardstock. I'll set that aside because I need it for the paper. There's our cardstock. I'm going to get my bone folder. And so with the 2 score lines, I'm going to fold this one over this way and this one this way, and then they meet over in the side. And just take my bone folder and burnish that. There we go. There's one. So again, that 1 1/2 inch is going to go this way, and the 3 inch is going to go this way. I knew I made a boo-boo here. My card wasn't straight, and so I'm going to probably fix that by just cutting that section there. I'm going to fix that and cut that. I looked at it after I had it scored, and I'm like, that's not gonna score properly. But you know what? It's not something that I'll talk to you about. The first set of cards I made, I had scored it at 1 inch. I had scored this side 1 inch. And then I'm like, why is it not meeting? Like, what the heck? And then I'll show you how I fix that. So again, you just now they're not going to lie flat, flat, flat. Now to cut the paper, I've got some nice ice cream paper, and it's got some nice, the waffle side on the other side, or I've got some sprinkles, 1-inch sheets cut up from sprinkles. So I'm going to decide what I'm going to use. Now, this is directional, and I've always told you with directional, turn it once to put it in the cutter to make that big cut. So we're going to cut at 5 1/4. Make sure my paper is up even at the top, and always cut from the bottom up. So we've got 5 1/4 cut. Now I need 2 3/4, so I'm just going to flip it over this way so I can measure it. So 2 3/4, so I need 2 of those, 3 of those actually. Let's see if I can get it out of this piece all at once. It's 2 3/4, and I did it. All right. And then because this is non-directional, it doesn't matter. And can I get 1.5 inches out of this? See, then it curves down because I had cut the cones out. I had fussy cut. So there we go. I've got that. So that's how you cut the paper. You have 1.5 inch and 2 3/4 inch. And then you just glue these onto the card. And I could decide that this this one I wanted to do this way with no problem. I could decide to do that. And so I'm going to bring in this confetti that I had 1.5 inch pieces cut for. I had another one. What happened? Oh, it's up here. All right. So I've used, some scrap paper that I had been using and cutting and doing that. So get my silicone mat out because that has been a saving grace for me. Now, what happened on my other cards that I want to talk about? What happened was I had scored at 1 inch on this side on all but 2 cards. I'm like, why did I go from 1.5 inches to 1 inch? But I did. I didn't double check my measurements. I always double check. I'm not going to say always because evidently I don't. I often double check my measurements. And that's just a testimony that you should double check your measurements. Measure twice, cut once. So what I did was I then went back and scored again at 1.5 inches. And then I thought, well, how am I going to fix it? Because you're going to see it at the top and at the bottom, you're going to see that groove mark. And on the inside, you're going to see it as well. Well, no one knows what you were supposed to start out with. No one knows what it was supposed to originally end up as. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to take some ribbon and I'm just going to cover it up. No one's going to know. And there's a little bit of ribbon up here. And there's a little bit of ribbon down here. No one's going to know. And you know what? That mistake turned out to look really beautiful. So I did that in all the cards. I put ribbon on this side. They're going to think, wow, that's really cool. There's even ribbon on the inside. This one I put a cording on it, and it's all about a cover-up. So that's what I did. So saved the cards. So I'm going to glue this down. Get my glue. And I have and that's why my glue mat was so helpful, was because none of the stickiness goes on here. This is such a neat invention, and it is so, I always get glue on all my surfaces, my table, like I've got glue spots on it that I need to wipe out or clean up someday, but I usually get it on my paper everywhere. So if I glue on here, the glue doesn't stick to this at all. It is so cool. It is such a cool invention. Now I'm going to glue this down and show you what fun papers that Stampin' Up! Makes. Now this one is no longer available, but they have other kids' stuff. They always come out with fun stuff. But again, I have to use up my paper. So I'm using up my paper and I'm going to make some cute birthday cards, fun fold birthday cards for kids. But the other cards I did finish, and I will show you at the end what they look like. Now, aren't those just the cutest? Just the cutest. And no stickiness on here. So that saves my paper and I can use my paper more often. This silicone mat is just my jam these days. So there's those 3 cards that I showed you how to cut out the cardstock and score the cardstock and cut the paper, the designer paper, and that it was directional. All right, I've been stamping the inside of the card, decorated the inside, glued things down. And those are the 3 cards that I'm working on. Now I got ink on here, not to worry, that will get covered up. We're going to cover it up. So this cardstock that I had scored on the angle, which is not what we want. So here's what I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this punch, this oval punch, and I'm going to use it on... So I'm going to just punch 3 of these out. I always use it upside down so I can see where I'm taking the least amount, trying to get as close to the edge and try not to, like, that is pretty close. So I'm starting to use that, and I'll use that up some more. But this just adds a nice on the yellow, and it'll match the green, and this will cover this up. I'm going to glue it on this side. Now I'm going to get some white and punch 3 white ones. I hope I can get it out of here. I wonder if I can. Woo! No, I'm not going to be able to get it out of that one. Just grab some more white from my stash. No, can't do it that way. And there we go. So on these 3, I'm going to, I think I'm going to put them this way. And then I have other cards to show you afterwards. I'm going to get I used Melon Mom, Rich Razzleberry on the inside. So I'll use that on the outside as well. I think one of them I'll change to green. Right. Actually, I'm going to do it on an angle. Then I don't have to worry about being straight. There we go. Treat yourself. This goes with the sweet ice cream stamp set, which is no longer available, but it's one that I've used quite a bit. So that's what you want to look for, is a stamp set. Like, am I going to use this a lot, or am I just going to use this once? You're giving your cards to different people, so they're not going to know. Hey. Right. Now I'm going to show you a little trick. Now I want to use this as a background. You could use it like this on each side. I'm going to show you a little trick. I could do it top and bottom, but I'm going to do side to side. So I'm just going to cut halfway up. It doesn't matter. Put some glue down each side of my stamp, and then glue this on. And it just gives a border. that you've used the same punch for. And that's what I love about the glue. The glue gives me time to move it around. There we go. And that will go on the card like this. And then I'll put some bedazzles on it, some gems. So now I need my foam dimensionals. I'm going to put foam dimensionals. Now on this one I want to get it on this side. So I'll have to put it here. 1, 2. Oops, come on, backing. Let's go off. And then that covers that ink spot. And there we go. So I'm going to finish the other cards and then I'll show you at the end. Well, that's it. I finished these cards and they look gorgeous. So these are the fun fold cards that I demonstrated to you, and I put some dots on there, some glossy dots. That was card number 1. And so that green that I had used, that it is being used to mat this, and then I still have lots left in my stash, cardstock stash, that I'll use up in the future. And then so it has different colors of glossy dots. And then I made some more. I was on a roll, and so I made some more. These were from my first video. You'll have heard me talk about it, and I thought I would have those to show you and just interject with another video. I have had technical difficulties. It's incredible. It's just, anyway, I still want to bring you the fun fold. So here I'm just going to show you with different paper, different sayings. This one I just used the oval and just stamped on it. I still have to put gems on this. Then I'm going to decorate the envelope and put them together. Now I did not stamp inside these ones. I have put decorative paper in. And you'll see that there's ribbon on the side, and there's a reason there's ribbon on the side. So when I was cutting these, scoring these, I was doing an inch on this side. And then when I went to fold it, I'm like, why is it not meeting? And then only to discover it should have been 1.5 inches. I only had 2 cards of this 7 cards that I made extra that were good. So I'm like, what am I going to do? So I scored again at 1.5 inches. But then you're going to see the score line at the 1 inch. Like, well, okay, well, why don't I just cover it up and cover it up with a ribbon, which is what I did. So no one is going to know that is covering up something. They're going to look at it and say, isn't that a nice touch? Ribbon on the inside. And then you can see the ribbon is at the top and at the bottom, just to cover up the score line. So I bring you tips and tricks, I think quite often, just how to cover something up. Now that one card that I scored earlier on the green, there was no way that I could fix that up and straighten that up and make it work. So sometimes, but that cardstock is still good for other things. So, and you saw me do that. Then I did this one. I love the plaids. Those are so fun to work with as well. And this is one of my favorite paper floral packs. And I love this color combo. So lots of fun with Fun Fold Fridays. From my end, it hasn't been too fun yet, but as I put this video together, I hope that it comes together in a cohesively, because it has not been easy. My phone has been acting up. My videos have disappeared. I have found them. But I haven't found them all. So then I had to finish the green and yellow cards so that I could show you. I'm vulnerable. I'm honest here. Like, I don't have it all together, and it doesn't always work, but I make it work, and I try to make it work. And at one point I had to stop. I prayed. I'm a faith-filled woman. I prayed, and then I just like, okay, let's move on and just go from there. So I hope you try this fun fold. Very easy, very fun to put together, and it's going to be fun for someone to receive. And it's not going to be a card that you're going to find in the store that looks like this, with that fun paper, the stamps, and a stamped happy birthday, and it's decorated inside, and then the envelope is going to be decorated, and it's just going to be so much fun for us to share kindness one card at a time. So thank you for joining me.